host, Evangelist Joel Torres.
So his name means uncertain. So I read that. It's like, oh, wow. Perfect guy to be the one to complain to God, right? I mean, but I want you to hear chapter 1. This is the key to what happened when the storm hit and the results after the storm in the house when they reconveyed. Listen to this. God, how long do I have to cry out for help before you listen? How many times do I have to yell, help, murder, police, before you come to the rescue? Why do you force me to look at evil, stare trouble in the face day after day, anarchy and violence break out, quarrels and fights all over the place? Listen to this. Law and order fall to pieces. Justice is a joke. The wicked have the righteous hamstrung and stand justice on its head. Right? What has happened? That's exactly what's been happening, isn't it? We're going to the courts with the truth to reveal that truth and the fraud and the irregularities, I'm sorry if I forgot to say that word. But anyway, but you know what I'm saying? And it seems like every time they try to push the truth in, it gets squished and squashed. And it's like, justice is a joke. So here's what I want to bring what the Lord told me regarding justice, because this is the key issue right now. See, before the storm, you had senators that are getting ready to object to the outcome of the election, right? Of the irregularities of what happened, so of the things that weren't right, and they knew it. And so that's why they were standing firm before the storm hit. There were still some that had to come up and do the objections. But a storm came that was not anticipated. Did not anticipate an invasion in the Capitol where they were doing their business, right? I mean, here comes a storm. After everything settled, they reconvened. And all of a sudden, those who were left to give the objection wavered and changed their minds. And here's something what God showed me. First of all, let me say this. It's never been about Trump. It's about whom God chose, the vessel. So I come in agreement with his choice of vessel. So I'm backing up God because of the agenda in the man, right? That night, things changed because fear got the best of him. All of a sudden, it was for every man for themselves now. It was like self-preservation. They wavered. And then God told me, Joel, did you hear every one of them that came up to change their vote in the opposite? Did you hear what they said, each one of them? They said, I'm not in agreement with the election, with the results of this election and the, and all the things that weren't right about it. That's what they said, He said, but even they don't agree, they're going to change their vote. He said, what happened right there and then, they were all standing strong. But after the storm, they did not abandon Trump. They abandoned my justice. You see? And he says, so Joel, guess what I'm doing right now? There are many out there that have been speaking with faith and giving a prophetic word, and ministers, hey, God's in control and all this kind of stuff. But after this storm, I'm hearing this. the exact attitude what these guys did. They had compromised my justice. And they're pedaling back. They're wavering right now. All of a sudden, what they said, they don't want to, well, this and that, and, God's able, he's in control, but, and God said to me, he said, their ministry, the voice of the ministry has just been lost. They have lost their voice. So, you see, we want justice. There are going to be many storms and many wars. But can you still stand? Can you still stand ready even though the battle belongs to the Lord? Even though your boat's filling up? Even though you weren't anticipating that storm, it came out of nowhere. But can you still stand? You see, as I told you, God is moving in a righteous anger, and that anger will not lift. So there are many things that are coming right now that is going to test the hearts of his people, of the church. Ezekiel 36, that he says, I am coming to reestablish my name, to vindicate it. Right? Through whom? Us. So it all depends how we stand and what we say, and can we still stand on what has been said, that before the storm you were absolutely sure that that's what God said to you. Are you still standing on it? Or have you done what these guys did? Say, it's not about Trump. It's what was represented in that was justice. But they compromised out of fear. You see? So Habakkuk is complaining to God, right? So here God answers back. This is really important. I want you to really see this. I'm going to see if I can, okay. I want to read it out of the Amplified, but I'm going to read this right now. Let me read this. It's going to be verse 5 that I'm going to read out of Habakkuk, and that's where I'll start here on the message. But look at what it says. Look around you, Habakkuk, replied the Lord, among the nations, and see, and be astounded, for I'm putting into effect a work in your days, such that you would not believe it if it were told you. Now let's go to the Message Bible. Look around at the godless nation, and we're one of those nations. Look long and hard. Brace yourself for a shock. Something's about to take place, and you're going to find it hard to believe. Now, all of a sudden, God changes things. And he introduces the enemy that's going to affect his people. Look at this. This is judgment. Now look at this. After saying that wonderful thing, then he goes, I'm about to raise up Babylonians to punish you. Oh, wow. Babylonians, fierce and furious, world-conquering Babylon, grabbing up nations right and left, a dreadful and terrible people, making up its own rules as it goes. Their horses run like wind, attack like bloodthirsty wolves, a stampede of galloping horses, thunders out of nowhere. They descend like vultures, circling in on carrion. Carrion is another word for dead flesh, okay? Don't know why they put that word, but that's what they put. They're out to kill. Death is on their minds. They collect victims like squirrels gathering nuts. They mock kings, poke fun at generals, spit on forts, and leave them in the dust. They'll all be blown away by the wind. Brazen in sin, they call strength their God. And so Habakkuk speaks up again, and he says, God, you're from eternity, aren't you? Holy God, we aren't going to die, are we? God, you chose Babylonians for your judgment work? Rock solid God, you gave them the job of discipline? But you can't be serious. You can't condone evil. So why don't you do something about this? Why are you silent now? This outreach, evil men swallow up the righteous, and you stand around and watch. You're treating men and women as so many fish in the ocean, swimming without direction, swimming but not getting anywhere. Then this evil Babylonian arrives and goes fishing. He pulls in a good catch. He catches his limit and fills his krill. A good day of fishing, he's happy. He praises his rod and reel, piles his fishing gear on an altar, and worships it. It made his day, and he's going to eat well tonight. Are you going to let this go on and on? Will you let this Babylonian fisherman fish like a weekend angler, killing people as if they're nothing but fish? What's God going to say to my questions? I'm braced for the worst. I'll climb to the lookout tower and scan the horizon. I'll wait to see what God says, how he'll answer my complaint. Then God comes. This is the second complaint now. He's going to answer. Chapter 2. And then God answered, write this. Write what you see. Write it out in big block letters so that it can be read on the run. This vision message is a witness pointing to what's coming. It aches for the coming. It can hardly wait, and it doesn't lie. If it seems slow in coming, wait. It's on its way. I will come right on time. See, we're growing impatient. We can't wait. We're thinking that this is going to happen like this. You know, some think that if we get to a new administration, we're going to have this utopia of peace just out of like that. No. And others think that everything should be exposed like right now as it's going to hit. Like, no, we're talking about decades of things hidden in darkness. It's been dripping out. And there's more coming out. So, and it's going to be spilling through this whole year. But I told you, it doesn't matter if there's a new administration in. It doesn't mean that it's going to stay there. See, God's not subject to man's timeline, nor is he subject to their rules and regulations or their laws. Amen? Because why? He's still in control. Okay. And then look at this. Let me continue with that. Then it says, money deceives. The arrogant rich don't last. They are more hungry for wealth than the grave is for cadavers. Like death, they always want more. But the more they get is dead bodies. They are cemeteries filled with dead nations, graveyards filled with corpses. Don't give people like this a second thought. Soon the whole world will be taunting them. Who do you think you are, getting rich by stealing and extortion? How long do you think you can get away with this? Indeed, how long before your victims wake up, stand up, and make you the victim? You've plundered nation after nation. Now you're going to get a taste of your own medicine. All the survivors are out to plunder you. A payback, I was going to say something else, but for all your murders and massacres. Who do you think you are? Recklessly grabbing and looting, living it up, acting like king of the mountain, getting above it all, above trials and troubles. You've engineered the ruin of your own house. In ruining others, you've ruined yourself. You've undermined your foundations, rotted out your own soul. The bricks of your house will speak up and accuse you. The woodwork will step forward with evidence. Who do you think you are? Building a town by murder, a city with crime. Don't you know that God of the angel armies makes sure nothing comes out of that but ashes? Makes sure the harder you work at that kind of thing, the less you are. Meanwhile, the earth fills up with awareness of God's glory. There is an awareness coming. As the waters cover the sea, who do you think you are, inviting your neighbors to your drunken parties, giving them much to drink, rumping them into your sexual orgies? I want to stop right there. The spirit of pedophile, the pedophile spirit is going to be exposed in Washington. Hollywood is being exposed right now, and it's going to continue. It's going to all connect together. You're going to see. And that's something that God taught me. This is what I'm talking about. Orgies with children. This is, as I said, what's coming is so deep, you're not going to be able to believe. Look at this. And then he goes on. You thought you were having the time of your life. Wrong. It's a time of disgrace. All the time you were drinking, oh, listen to this, you were drinking from the cup of God's wrath. Okay, so I'm going to go down and just read this last two lines of this chapter. But I encourage you to read it, okay? He says, but oh, God is in his holy temple. Quiet, everyone. A holy silence. Listen. Pray about what you just heard. That is what God is revealing. See, we've had a storm, and God's listening. He's checking their hearts. Oh, but don't worry. He's got a plan. It's going to astonish you. It'll be too hard to believe, because the time of disgrace for them is coming. They're going to get a taste of their own medicine. Wait on the Lord. Just wait. He'll be right on time. Amen. Okay, so I want to say a couple things. I hope that this really has stirred you up and helped you understand that God is always talking. But you got to be in a place to listen. Don't just hear it, listen. You see, because at this end he says, listen. Are you listening? Do you know what God is saying? So, a couple things before I close out. I'm going to close with some videos that contradict a lot of things. I just grabbed something right now that's unbelievable, but I'm not going to put it on. With these huge institutions of communication, social media giants, and because of what they're trying to do, will later spill into and over, possibly in for the church. They want to quench. But here's a spirit that's moving. It's a Babylonian spirit. It's fierce. It don't care. It thinks it can get away with everything. It will do it right in front of you without batting an eye. Did you see that? God says this is a Babylonian spirit. This is why I can only remove the hostility of these obstacles that are in the way. I have already said, build up the road, remove the obstacles from my people. Only he can give that order because he is the only one that can remove it. We are moving in a very, the influence is very demonic. Some of you may say, oh, Joel, come on. Well, I showed you those clips, right? Witches and wizards and Satanists all come banding together, right? So this is what's going on right now. And I hope that you were listening. But God is in control. He's got a plan. And he's moving forward. But before revival comes, as much as I know revival is going to come, and it's going to be awesome. But before that comes, judgment comes. There are consequences. And each step of the way, God is listening. He's hearing and he's listening for the responses of his people. I stand on what I have been saying because I know what God said. And I'm not wavering from what he told me. And others are not wavering. How about you? If God said that he's going to, God does not do a Band-Aid job. He's a God who completes his agenda. And as you heard, this is a Babylonian spirit that's fierce, that extorts. There's a recording of the new administration coming in of that very thing. It's already coming out. So here are the video clips out of your own conviction. Videos don't lie. So, as I said, one way or another, things are going to begin to leak. And so, pray about it. What you see, what you hear, and keep on praying and fasting for this administration, because God's not done. I'm telling you, he's not done. Okay. Now, my last announcement. Because of these institutions and because the threat they bring, I'm not fearful. I could care less whether, as I get deeper with this, whether they shut me off. I'm not worried about any of that. So at the end of the month, I've been praying, and I have decided that I'm going to shut down my social media completely. So the end of the month will be it for me on both my regular page and my ministry pages on social media. So if you are really interested and want to hear, because I'm hoping to have the series finished before the end of the month. If not, I'm going to continue, and I got websites that I will put that on. So if you're really interested, for one thing, I would say subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will keep that. But enough is enough. You see, sometimes we don't want to stand for something for something that we need to stand on. And sometimes we don't do it because of inconvenience. Now, I'm not trying to throw any condemnation. These are good platforms, but they have taken it to a place that is a threat. So we have to now act not only like we the people, but we who are more than conquerors. We who need to learn how to possess and show the strength of what righteousness really is in truth. For myself, that's what I'm saying. Because if we do not show them power as the people, then they will always think they have power over the people. It has nothing to do with money. So pray about what you think you need to do. Now, if you choose to stay on, that's fine. I don't want you to feel guilty in any way. But, I'm just saying, whatever is your conscience and whatever is the conviction, maybe some of you need to stay on. I'm going to say that because maybe some of you need to stay in contact with people that you can minister to. But in my position where I'm at, ministry-wise, I know it's a threat right now. Now, they've been good to me, and I haven't had any problems. But now that I'm getting into this, because I'm being unctioned by the Holy Spirit to speak out, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, I'm not going to go crazy, politically, but we do need to be a voice. We should be the voice. We should be the voice for this nation. Because the voice that started this came of a Judeo belief system that created the voice for this nation, that made way for this nation to be one nation under God, right? You see, we have allowed others to take our voice. It's time. It's time. So do whatever is right for you. But at the end of the month, I will be shutting everything down. I will keep my YouTube. I do have another venue that I'm going to. So if you're really interested and would like to stay in contact with me, there's my email. Just email me. Or use Messenger for now while I have it. And let me know that you're interested. What I would say, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I could really use subscriptions, and that would really help take the ministry on a platform that will be stronger, okay? So do that, and then that way you can always be up to what I'm doing. There's a lot of things that's coming in 21 that I and Reverend Mike Bearden are going to be launching out. I mean, God has been speaking to us, and of course, the film that we're producing, we're getting back on track to finish it, but we had to stop production because, of COVID-19. So I will always have this email address, so if you have a prayer request, please be sure to do that. Okay? Well, that's pretty much it. So here's the videos. God bless you. I love you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
I do want to show you factual things of what we're seeing, all right? So you got to see some of the facts that you're not seeing on other media outlets. That's just the way it is. Watch the man in the middle. He's a guard. He's a policeman. Watch.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Did you see that? He was waving them in. All right, we'll play it again. Watch this. He's waving them in. Watch.
This is shocking to me that we had this level of setup for the Kabuki Theater that is now literally overturning the inquiry into a ripped-off election, and the titles here drive me bonkers. Trump supporters stormed the Capitol, overwhelmed. There was no police there. It was 4 guys in this one. Overwhelming police with rioters barging their way in. So I'm looking forward to the next 48 hours as information comes out, because all this is covered in social media.
This is our crew in D.C. Mike Garofalo actually ran into a French journalist. I want you to hear what she had to say.
Late at night or pretty early morning, like 5 a.m. I guess, or 5:30, and I was talking with this cop, and we were just like talking about everything, and I asked him, like, most of the people actually have the feeling that police didn't do enough to stop the protesters or didn't do anything, and he was like, yeah, I can actually understand why they say that when I see the pictures. And himself, he was kind of angry at like his superior, because he told me that on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. he and his like co-workers were told to go home, which he was very surprised about, because of course Trump had not started his speech. We knew that there was going to be some huge protest on the Capitol that may or might turn violent, so he was extremely surprised. But he went home and then he saw that the situation turned bad, and he said that he wasn't called back into work, that he did come because he felt like he had to, but that no one called him back. So yeah, so he was very surprised about that they were not like requested to be at work when such a big event was going to happen.
So they were sent home. Now she's a reporter for I-24 News there in France, and the people were sent home. All right, so this picture came, and we searched to see if this was actually photoshopped. It wasn't. To the best of our abilities, this was not photoshopped. So there's the guy with the Viking guy. We call him Viking guy. But the man that's taking a shot with him is Michael Voss, Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law. Now, that was posted at 1:42 in the morning this morning, but it was taken obviously yesterday. So, social media, you can live and you can die by it. I'm telling you, when it comes to what gets out in social media, it's interesting. I mean, this thing, if there's anything we've seen, ladies and gentlemen, since we've gone through this, we have seen so much revealed from November 3rd. We thought we knew what was going on. We had no clue what was going on from November 3rd until yesterday and today. Just the amount of corruption. I'll just say corruption that's
here with a pagan flair. I confess, I kind of missed this because I was focused on one aspect of the opening prayer for the 117th Congress, which was delivered by Representative Emmanuel Cleaver of Kansas City, who's the pastor of St. James United Methodist Church there. Because Congress had just passed some gender-inclusive language, which, by the way, you notice that Speaker Pelosi didn't bother to use as she was calling on gentlemen and gentlewomen to address the challenges to the Electoral College votes on Wednesday, but that's beside the point. Anyway, Representative Cleaver closed his prayer by saying, "Amen" and "women." But what I should have focused on right from the start was the fact that he also addressed the prayer to the Hindu creator deity Brahma. Now, the amen and women thing, okay, we can kind of laugh about that as sort of a clumsy effort to be more inclusive, to acknowledge the fact that there is a record number of women in Congress this year. But for a Christian pastor to acknowledge and recognize a pagan deity, a fallen angel or demon, in a prayer where you're petitioning the throne of God, I'm sorry, that's blasphemous.
May the Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May the Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon us and give us peace. Peace in our families, peace across this land, and dare I ask, O Lord, peace even in this chamber, now and evermore. We ask it in the name of the monotheistic God, Brahma, and God known by many names, by many different faiths. Amen and a woman.